So you just saw the premiere of episode 4, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
I think it's the state of the art. It's absolutely the best presentation I've ever seen of the monetary mechanism, something I first read about in Creature from Jekyll Island. I remember the first time I was reading that book. We're on vacation. My wife is in vacation mode. I've already been freaking out about economic things up to this point, and this book falls in my hands, and I'm reading through the Mandrake mechanism, and I couldn't believe what I was reading. And I couldn't explain it to her, and she wanted me to go on vacation and stop talking about it. And it was just so exciting, and fast forward, this is the best articulation of it I've ever seen. It's unnecessarily complicated on purpose, and it's designed to fool
the mechanism
people. The mechanism
yeah.
is, right? And it needs to be explained because it's just a wealth transfer mechanism. It's a really interesting system. I think it made a lot of sense at the time. I think from 1913 to now it was probably an okay mechanism. Of course, we had other things going for us. We had rising and abundant oil supplies. We had a population expanding. We had a green revolution. There were all these energy inputs. You could have a money system that's expanding, but today there is literally nothing more important than understanding how it is that our money system operates and why it's probably going to fail us.
Yeah, the system was designed more than 300 years ago by the men that started the Bank of England, and then refined by the Rothschilds about 50 years later, and it made them the wealthiest family on the planet for more than a century. Central banking, the way it's designed, is specifically designed to benefit the creators of central banking, and there's a wealth transfer. It's a little tiny amount from all of us, but it enriches, it benefits the people that run it at the expense of everybody that uses it.
Well, maybe there's an argument that could be made that if you have money, it needs to be managed in some way. I've seen community currencies that fail because they're run by volunteers. There is a certain aspect of management. When the Federal Reserve was created in 1913, we were on a gold standard at that point in time. Actually, it was bimetallic. There was silver in circulation as well. And so you could make an argument that there's room for somebody to manage that system. When my grandfather got into banking, his father was a banker, and when my grandfather was thinking about coming in the early 30s, my great-grandfather had told my grandfather, son, this is a low-margin business. It's not worth your trouble. Don't do it. And tried to talk him out of it, because at that point in time, banking was still taking a reasonable skim off of the whole process. But you fast forward to 1971, we cut ourselves from the Bretton Woods standard, the gold standard's eliminated, and all of a sudden there's no more regulator in the system, no governor in the system to hold a check on this thing. And what most people don't realize is we don't have a modern money system that's 300 years carefully in the design. This thing was literally created out of panic in 1971, and here we are, about 40 some plus years.
It was a default. It was an accidental monetary system.
Exactly,
yeah.
because the old one was breaking, so we defaulted into this one, and guess what? It allowed governments and banks to run unchecked. And so if you really want to scare yourself, just get yourself a chart of debt or money creation from 1950 to current, and you'll see it just hook up right there in the early 70s. And the last 10 years have been the most explosive monetary growth ever seen when we look at sovereign debt levels. Money and debt, obviously, two sides of the same coin.
Today there.
Or currency and debt, right? Yeah. You look at the explosion in the past 10 years, it's been extraordinary. And that's because there's nothing backing it. There's nothing preventing anything in the system mathematically from preventing stuff from being created. It's just, it's what the people will accept. And that's why it's more important than ever that the people understand what's going on at this point in time, because the people who are supposed to be managing this in our benefit are doing a horrible job at it. And the chance of them steering this safely, I feel like they're trying to run a slalom with a supertanker through a really tight set of shoals, and I don't think they're going to be able to do it.